Hello all, here is my July report. My first outing of the month was to see the marvellous Janelle Monáe in concert in Manchester. It was one of only a few shows that she did in the UK, as part of a larger European tour to promote the Age of Pleasure album. I only came across her music a few years ago, and have been a huge fan ever since. I'd been unwell the week before the gig, and wasn't fully recovered, and I rather thought I might not have the puff to properly join in and enjoy it, but I needn't have worried. It was fabulous, high-energy fun, and I was right up there at the front where I prefer to be. We also had a big family get-together for baby Adrian's first birthday. 3 of our children, plus partners, plus all 3 of our grandchildren, made for a lovely afternoon. Adrian coped very well with the crowd of people, and we enjoyed seeing each other and witnessing important rites of passage involving the wearing of cake around the face of a small child. One of the big projects that Simone and I set ourselves this year was to bring our house full of stuff into slightly better order. We were well aware that less progress had been made on this than we'd intended, and in an attempt to kick this project back into gear, we hired a skip this month and parked it on our drive. This was a massive success. We were able to chuck away a few big pieces of furniture, like beds and an old desk, which opened up space to shift things around upstairs. We also went through every box in our very full double garage, finding treasures thought long lost, and also letting go of enough stuff to open that space up and make it properly usable again after too many years. Lots still to do, of course, and all very exhausting, but it certainly cracked that project open again after feeling frustratingly deadlocked. I read 2 books for the first time this month. The first of these was a novella by Paul Cornell called The Witches of Lichford, which I listened to on Audible. This was short, but a good start to a series of novellas that will further develop these characters and their setting. Several of the books that I read last year fall into the genre normally called urban fantasy, so it was interesting to read something so deliberately off to the side of that. The Witches of Lichford is a rural fantasy. It's set in a small English market town that is at risk from supernatural forces, under the guise of the controversial building of a new supermarket. The 3 women at the centre of the story are all interesting and well-developed characters, and the shorter length made this feel like a good pilot episode that made me immediately put the next one on my wish list. My second book, much longer than the first, was Notes from the Burning Age by Claire North. I first came across this author 10 years ago now, when she released the first 15 lives of Harry August, which was a huge hit and award winner, and the best book that I'd read in years. I've read almost everything she's done since, and really like her work. Most writers of fantasy get sucked into writing series, but all of Claire North's books so far have been standalone. Notes from the Burning Age is set in a future long after our own civilization has collapsed, but this is no grim post-apocalyptic dystopia. It's a fascinating vision of a culture trying to avoid the mistakes of the past, even when the same human drives that led to those mistakes are just as present as they ever were. The protagonist, Ven, is a devout man who loves the values of the world that raised him, but is also willing to find a path of compromise in pursuit of his ideals. The use of lyrical, descriptive language really lets you see the world through Ven's eyes, and the ideas in this book stayed with me for a long time after I finished it. Simone and I have also started doing some collaborative vlogging. We're making short videos that sometimes feel a bit like my old assemblies, kind of op-ed pieces, recording our thoughts and opinions and ideas that we find interesting. These are framed as messages sent back and forth between us, but it's also in part a legacy project. Both Simone and I deeply regret not having any videos of our parents or our grandparents. I can still remember their voices, but I do wish I had some recordings to listen back to. Our grandchildren are too young yet to fully appreciate some of these ideas, but it's nice to think that when they're my age, they'll be able to look back and remember what we sounded like or what we thought about. We have set up a new YouTube channel for this, Him and Her Indoors, which I'll put a link to in the description. And that's about it for this month. I mean, the skip on the drive was very successful, but to be honest, I'm knackered. I think I might go and have a long lie down. Anyway, see you next time. Love you all. Stay well.